Hello, and welcome to the Making the Most of Our Mess podcast. I am Doug, and this is Janan, and we are on, I don't even know what episode number that we're on.
I don't know either.
Took a little bit of a break because life happened and things just is what they were, and we'll probably talk about that in future episodes. But today, Janan, tell us what we're going to be talking about.
So today we're going to talk a little bit about theme park experiences, if you're planning a vacation with a family member or friend who has special needs, and how to be proactive versus reactive, and also how to navigate some of the systems.
So, full disclosure, we live in Orlando. I have for the last, I don't know, six years.
Almost 6.5 years.
We've gone to Disney prior to that, before we lived, native Floridians. So we've been in and out of Disney a good bit. We've had passes to every theme park in Orlando in this Central Florida area at some point in our journey here. And our dog is playing with her taco, if you might be able to hear the little squeaky noise in the background. But once again, we are making the most of our mess. So that's why we're here in our home doing this, and it's getting ready to start thundering and lightning behind me. So that's going to be a fun storm out the window behind me, you're going to see. So theme parks, we've been through Disney, we've been to Universal, we've been to Legoland, we've been to SeaWorld, to Busch Gardens.
We've also been to Dollywood out of state as well, and I think you and a couple other family members went to Hershey Park.
We've been to Hershey Park. We've been to California, Disney.
Disneyland,
we've
and
been to
Universal.
California Universal.
That's right.
We are, we've gone to way too many theme parks and spent way too much money.
And true story,
in the mousetrap
Doug
made
is
for humans.
really not a theme park fan, if we're being honest. It's not his choice place of vacation, but with the needs of our family and the different interests, we make it work.
One of the things, and some of what we're going to talk about today with the needs of our family, there are some very specialized services that are available at some of these theme parks.
Right.
And they have accommodated us quite well over the years and allowed us to be able to have very similar experiences, from the hotels being a certain way to the experiences within the park being consistent. So as time has gone on, they have done a really good job of acclimating to those with special needs.
Yeah.
And they're kind of in sort of a swing season now, because they did a really good job at one point, then everybody took advantage of it that didn't need to take advantage of it. And so they've kind of cracked it back down so that have restricted some of the things. So we're going to talk about some of the ways in which you might be able to qualify for that, as well as some of the features inside of the parks that you can experience or plan to experience as a result of those accommodations that you can get ahead of time, and some of the features inside of the parks. So where do you want to start, Janan?
So I will say, before we get started, at the end of today's episode, we, and by we meaning Doug, is going to upload a video of a sensory room at one of the theme parks, so you can actually see what we're talking about.
Maybe more than one. We might have a
Yeah,
few.
we might have, or some pictures or something. So let's go ahead. We're going to start with Walt Disney World. We don't live too far from there, and Walt Disney World encompasses 4 theme parks, 2 water parks. They have Disney Springs, which is like a shopping, restaurant, entertainment venue, and a mini golf. They have, resorts. I mean, you name it, hotels, they've got it. So with what Doug was saying,
along with a lot of my money, they have that too.
I know. With that, Doug saying a couple minutes ago about how they've really cracked down on some of these disability access passes, I'm going to tell you the verbiage changes from park to park and from time to time. So we're going by what our most recent experiences has been.
And we might not even have the actual right verbiage at this point.
Correct.
But you can get it from where we're talking about.
So they have cracked down because people were abusing the system. My pinky toe hurt, so I'm going to get this disability access service pass. And so
basically what it is they give you a way to be able to wait in a shorter line or not wait as long in the actual line.
Right.
You still typically have to wait somewhere in the park, but you don't necessarily have to wait in the actual line queue to be able to access if you have these types of passes.
Correct. And the one for Disney is called Disability Access Service Pass. Now, we call it DAS. I've heard some cast members call it DAS. I don't know, but it's DAS. And it's not an additional pass that you buy. So if, let's say, you have your daily ticket, or maybe you have an annual pass or a Florida resident pass, this is not something that you purchase or get in addition to, but you do have to, I believe, Doug, apply to receive these accommodations.
With Disney now, you have to do all that in advance.
Yes.
Now, you can go in the day of and work through things, but you have to have a video interview with a cast member where you log in, and it doesn't matter if you're in the park at guest services, you got to go wait outside on a bench, because I've done this,
I
because
didn't know
we
that.
let one lapse one year, and we had to go, like, it was expired. They're good for like 6 months, I
I don't
think, six
remember
months or a
this.
year, whatever it
Okay.
is. And your person with the disability has to be with you for this particular interview,
Oof. And it's hard, y'all.
especially when you're at Disney and they want to go do all the stuff they want to do, and they don't understand why they're having to get a pass and what's going on with the pass, but they don't understand why their pass doesn't work because they
Right.
don't have it. And
Right.
anyhow,
So
it's a
you do
thing.
have to go on the website, like the Walt Disney World website. I think it's disney.go.com or something like that. Just Google Walt Disney World and it'll come up. And then if
It's
you,
probably already loading on your computer right now. If you're watching this online, you probably got an ad that just popped up that said Disney. Just click on that.
you're not wrong.
We're not affiliated with them.
That's
but
right. We don't get any perks. But you can go into the search bar in the Walt Disney World website and you can type in disability accessibility service pass or special needs. And I'm on it right now. And there's a whole lot of information. They have everything about, service dogs. And they say that it can be a service dog or a small horse. So it's not like you can bring your ferret, you can't bring your cat. Like it has to be an actual
Yeah,
service animal.
that might be a whole nother whole episode on ADA animals. We're not talking emotional support animals here. We're
Correct.
talking an actual service animal. And ADA usually defines that as a dog. They might also include small
It
horses at this
says
point.
it says right here, a service animal at Disney is a dog or miniature horse that has been individually trained to do work or perform tasks for an individual with a disability.
And that's language is very much so from the Americans with Disability Act, which kind of defines what that service animal is. What is fascinating is that there is really no formal training certificate that has to be done in order to qualify your dog as a service dog. So, yeah, I mean,
That's a fine line.
there are places that can give you that certificate from a behavioral standpoint that says they've passed certain things. And this is a big thing that people find when they come to their providers, like their medical providers, and say, "Hey, I need you to fill this out and say my dog's a service dog." Well, as a medical provider, I can't do that because I am a people doctor. I'm not a dog. I'm not a doctor, but I'm a people medical person. I'm not a dog medical person.
Right.
So I can't certify that Fluffy is whatever Fluffy is because I don't know if Fluffy's a 4-pound Pomeranian or a
Right.
120-pound, Rottweiler. And the Pomeranian is probably going to bite somebody quicker than the Rottweiler will.
Could be.
But that all is a huge liability on the medical provider to say what your dog is or what your dog isn't. So it's a whole
Right.
issue when
And
you
there's
start
a
talking about
whole
service
page
animals.
I'm looking at talks about, they can't jump on people. They have to be housebroken. Now, there is another section. If you were to go to Walt Disney World on a vacation, there is pet boarding and there are some hotels that allow that. That's different from what we're talking about with service animals. So there's a whole section on service animals. There's
But let's get into the actual disability
Yeah.
access services pass.
Okay.
At this point, it is specifically to those that have developmental disorders, things like autism, or mainly autism is what they don't really say the word autism, but how they
Right.
define it, there's not much other than autism that kind of fits into that category.
You mean in the developmental department.
Correct.
Yes.
So you typically have to have some sort of, well, they will call you, it's different at Universal because we'll talk about that in a minute. You have to have some paperwork ahead of time for Universal. But Jadan, tell us a little bit about what's required in advance for Disney to be able to certify that.
So I was just on the page, but I'm not on it anymore. But it does basically tell you do have to, I'm going from memory, we set up a time online. There's a whole, you can follow the instructions, and then you set up a time to have this Disney cast member, whoever's in the queue, to give you a call for this video. And they're basically just trying to prove that you're not making this up. They have some other.
And part of the reason they're doing that is they've monetized that whole system to be able to have shortened, their lightning lanes, they call them now.
Right.
So instead of people paying whatever the money is to get the lightning lane for the day, they just pretend they're disabled for a little bit. And then they go get this lightning lane through this disability pass for a disability they don't actually have.
Well, and the thing is,
And
the
it's that
lightning
whole,
lane.
this is why we can't have nice things kind of a
Right.
statement comes out.
And the lightning lane, if you're familiar with that term, it has changed over time. Fast pass, you name it, it's basically the lightning lane is if some people go to the park and they pay extra, they can go into this special lane and not the standby lane, and then they don't have to wait as long. Ultimately, that's what you're getting by getting the disability access service pass. Like, you're not just jumping to the front of the line and then people have been waiting for 4 hours, right? You're usually given, I know we gave
You
it
get a
time.
return time.
Yeah, you get a return
So if
time.
it's an hour wait for the line and it's 3 p.m., they're going to tell you come back at 4 p.m. and you can go through the lightning
The lightning
lane.
lane, correct. And so there is still waiting, You still have to wait a little bit. Now, one thing for our family, we actually did not start this till probably 2018. I was looking back at a memory the other day about it. Tyler didn't need that way back when. He was able to. He was younger, a little bit more flexible than he is now.
And they had a different system where you could get like fast passes in advance.
They
and
sure
that kind
did.
Of stuff.
They sure did.
Anything, so we could figure all that out.
Right. So basically what you do this interview, you go through all the things.
And the person's going to ask you questions like, what is your disability? What do you have? What's difficult for you? What happens if you're in a tight space or you have to wait a long period of time, that kind of thing. It's not, they're not asking you
for your social security number
type of stuff, but you got to be able to be honest and truthful about what you can and what you can't do.
Right. And the bottom line, like, this is not something like we've ever wanted. I think, Doug, you've said that this is like the only good thing that has come from autism, if we're being quite honest.
And I will gladly wait in a line barefoot on broken glass, walking through alcohol, like it's, in order to not have to have this. But
yes,
it makes it so that we can have the opportunity to go experience this in the park.
Right. And really it is for the person who has the disability, but also you got to remember, you're going as a family, or you're going with a bunch of friends, or maybe a family reunion. This disability affects everybody, right? And so for us in particularly, the waiting can be very, very challenging, right? And then if you have someone screaming behind you, or someone crying, or there's smells, or there's sounds.
You got your one kid that doesn't need the pass that's waited for an hour and a half in the line, and they get 5 people to the front, and the one kid has a freak out, and it's like, okay, now we got to go because of this. Then it gets challenging.
We've been there and done that. So that is one thing you need to do in advance. I do not recommend kind of what Doug did with Tyler. And again, I must have
They can do it, and they'll prioritize it for you
can.
if you're at the park or it's on a vacation. I mean, like I say, we had passes, we didn't realize it had lapsed, and so so it was all relatively quick. And then once you get it, it's all inside the app. You pick the lightning lane inside the app, and it makes it really easy.
So that's a little bit about Disney. And I'm going to be honest with you. We've had several encounters where our child was having a meltdown, a freak out, and the cast members are trained. They know how to respond in those situations. And I will tell you, people do extend, for the most part, a lot of grace. There have been situations where we had to get out of line, and our younger one really wanted to do it. Like, it affects everybody. And there have been times where they're like, hey, you guys just go ahead, and then the other parent takes it. Or we do like a child swap. You can do child swap like that.
Unfortunately, it's quite obvious that we need help.
Yeah, it is.
So there have been some days where it's just been like, yeah, I see you, we get this. And I will tell you, there's a number of cast members that have autism, and we'll disclose that to people that have said, hey, I have autism. Let me help you work through this.
Yes.
Here's what you need to do, and they'll walk you through the things that you need to get.
And, the people that work there, at Walt Disney World, it's the most magical place on earth, and Disneyland in California is the happiest place on earth. They don't want someone having a meltdown or crying or screaming in, this fantasy world, right? So they're going to do everything in their power to help you out. And honestly, like, I have been moved to tears many a times just by the kindness of cast members. I know the security guard helped us out one day. We had a situation. I was with the kids several years ago, and we were doing the scavenger hunt in Epcot, where I think it was for the Food and Wine Festival, where we bought the little map, and then you get stickers, and you have to match the sticker when you go to every country. And apparently I didn't see very well, and I told both of our kids to put the cheese Remy Ratatouille instead of the carrot one. And then we got to the end, and Tyler realized we had put the wrong sticker, and it was a full-on meltdown. And so he's crying, I'm crying. Poor Tucker's like, we did the wrong sticker. And then a security guard, you weren't with me that time, Doug, security guard stepped up to me, and I told him the situation, and I said, I'm sorry, I can't fix this, and it was totally my bad. And he goes, give me 5 minutes. And he came back with 2 new maps. We fixed the stickers. Then we finished our scavenger hunt, got the cups, and I took a picture with that man and gave him a cast compliment. That's another thing. Doug, you want to talk a little bit about that?
It's just a way to honor and recognize the people that are working there. If you've had if you do it at Publix, they get a free sub. If somebody helps you out. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And so, it's like the anti-Karen, like it's trying to find a way to tell people that are doing a really good job for you and go out of your way to compliment them and make it, we had an encounter at the hospital one time where, I don't know if I told you this.
At what hospital?
Whatever hospital you went, when you broke your toe or something.
Oh, okay.
And we had a really good nurse. And so I called the hospital the next day, and I was like, hey, I would like to give a compliment about, nurse so-and-so. And they're like, hold on. And put me on hold for 5 minutes. They came back. I'm sorry, you said compliment, sir? And I'm like, yeah, I want to compliment. I want to let the leadership in. They're like, we've never had this. I'll take it down. Maybe we'll find a way to do it. But, so.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of a cool thing to be able to call and not complain about somebody.
Yeah. So that's how it works at Disney. And again, you can go on the app, you can pick, once you have all this taken care of in the app, it'll say Disability Access Service Pass. You click the little button and then you can select which ride you want to go to and
It's
when
like
you
one
go
at a
back.
time. You can't go select every single ride
Correct.
in the park. You know, you do one, then you
Yeah.
get done with it, you pick another one, that kind of thing.
And I will tell you, it can get very challenging when you pick the ride that your child loves and there's a weather delay or the ride has been shut down. What they will do at that point, they'll send you an update on your app, just like they do with anybody if they've gotten a fast pass or lightning lane, that they will say, hey, this attraction is closed, but you can select any of the following 10 options. That can be a challenge when you have someone who's really looking forward to do an outdoor ride.
When they only wanted to go to one thing, that's the whole reason we're there.
Yeah, exactly. But, we make it work. So definitely take a look into that. I want to go next to Universal. Again, we have more experience with Orlando.
Universal's a little bit different process. They've utilized a third-party company.
Yes.
I believe it's called accessibilitycard.org is the website that you go through.
It is, and it's the IBCCES card, and
that doesn't just work with Universal. When you go through that,
correct.
There's a number of theme parks that I think SeaWorld also uses them as well.
I think so.
Like Six Flags and all throughout the nation, there's theme parks that you just kind of select, hey, I want this to apply to multiple theme parks.
And I'm on the website right now, if you go to accessibilitycard.org, it has a whole video on what is this card, and it tells you to register.
There's a couple things you're going to need to be able to know. They want actual medical diagnoses,
like paperwork.
and medical record type thing, or a letter from your provider, that sort of stuff. They will also want to have the NPI number of your provider. It stands for the National Provider Index. You can go online and find that. Your provider typically doesn't know. Hold on, Sydney.
Sorry, the dog. When do you say provider? Are we? Oh yeah, that's the taco. When you say NPI, what kind of provider are you talking about? Like a psychiatrist or a doctor?
Therapist, whoever you are seeing that takes medical insurance is going to have an NPI number.
Okay.
That NPI number, you can find it online by going to like npiregistry.com or NPI lookup.
Sorry, the dog just got the taco off the table.
Yeah, making the most. So you don't need get that from your provider. You can find it online. Now, if you go to a provider that's not licensed and is not taking insurance, that's going to be
keep going. It's fine.
It's going to be a little bit more of a challenge, because they're probably not going to get recognized quite as well.
Yeah.
But you'll need to be able to fill out a release of information in order for your doctor to either send them information, but ideally you want them to send it to you. So you'll have them write a letter saying what the diagnosis is and what's going on. And this doesn't just work for autism there. I also have had patients with PTSD that have a really hard time just being in an enclosed area for a period of time.
I'm sure.
And so in order to be able to go to a theme park with their family without having a full-blown PTSD attack, this has been super helpful for them to be able just to go and spend time with their family. And they have a couple different options they can work with you on depending on what your level of need is. So it's not like whereas Disney's kind of just a one thing, Universal, they're a little bit more flexible in being able to provide some of that for you.
They are, and Universal includes Universal Studios Orlando, Islands of Adventure, the new Epic Universe that just opened this summer or late May, and then Volcano Bay is their water park. Now, I will tell you, we are going to upload the video, we meaning Doug again, is going to upload the video of the Universal Studios video. They have a very cool sensory room there. I'm going to tell you, like that has saved me many times. It's on the Universal Studios side. So if you're familiar with Universal Studios, you walk through like the gates when you scan your card or facial recognition or whatever they have, and then you immediately go to the right. And to the right, there is guest relations. And then to the left of that, it's got its own little, lane now, and it'll say whatever the acronym is, IAC or something like that. And sometimes it's every 2 weeks, I believe you have to, is it renew it or re-up it?
I forget.
It's a little different. So I think it's every 2 weeks. You already have it. You don't have to go through the whole process again. They would just hey, they need to see the person. They need to scan the ticket. And then the people who are in the party with them get a little
Well, it depends on
ticket,
what
right?
sometimes it's a car that you can go back to.
Okay.
Sometimes it's a fast pass thing. I've had some people
Like
that
a quick queue.
they actually have a cast member that comes out and meets them and walks them to the front of the line, depending on
Okay.
what's going. So yeah,
It
it really
varies.
just depends on what the actual needs are of your person as to what that looks like.
And that, again, is all located to the right of the entrance at Universal Studios Orlando. Also to the right is their first aid area. And if you go into the door that says first aid, when you walk through, there's an attendant at the back saying, what can I help you with? They have two little, what do you call them, bays or I don't know,
There's little
areas.
rooms.
There are little rooms. One, they have one for nursing mothers, and then the other is a sensory room. And it's really cool because it's small. I mean, I don't know how many feet, maybe
Like a small bedroom,
10
basically.
feet. And inside, it's got a little latch. And then you can, once you pull the little latch, it'll, say like not vacant or whatnot. And there was this like tube. There's like, it's got cushions. It's got decorations with minions. It has a couple things to touch, some tactile things. And then the light switch can be a dimmer. So you can turn the lights all the way off. You can do up and down. And honestly, like, I don't know, back a year or two ago, I took Tyler in there. He's having a harder time doing theme parks now than he used to. He likes them, but he wants them on his own terms and doesn't want us to walk around with them and all these different things. And sometimes we would go in there and he would just go lay in the tube and listen to music. I turn the lights off and I just sit there for a few minutes. And honestly, it's a really nice thing that they have there. Now, I know we haven't been to the one at Islands of Adventure in a really long time. I went one time over there and it was back by, Tucker could tell us, what's the name of that area that they just closed, Forbidden? No, I don't know. It's like Poseidon. It's between, you know what I'm talking about? I don't know that area. It's between Seuss Land
And the new Harry Potter land.
and Harry Potter, because they're doing some changing and refurbs there.
In Epic Universe, it's if you're walking into the park, the big hotel's at the back of the park. It's in between the hotel and the entrance to the Starflyer ride.
Okay.
They've got a whole building there that's kind of set up. That's
Okay.
sort of like a family room.
Is it like the one at Universal, or is it a
It's
little?
bigger and better than the one at
Okay.
the studios, but it has a very similar type of room. There's vending machines. It's air conditioned.
Nice.
You can kind of just sit and chill.
The one at Islands of Adventure, it wasn't really set up. Again, this was back probably 2 years ago. We haven't been to that one. Plus, where the location is, it's not normally at the front of the park where we usually tend to go. But there was a spot for like nursing mothers with a microwave and some different things. Tyler wasn't a big fan of that one as much, but really likes the one at Universal Studios. So that's what they have there. We haven't been to Legoland in a while. And to be honest, I really can't remember because I don't think we had to do any of that way back when. Totally different setup.
There's Legos. There's no point. Everyone wants
Legos
to wait and play
and
with Legos.
yeah, but we do. SeaWorld is an autism certified theme park, which is great. So obviously their staff have been through some different trainings. They have, I'm trying to look, I'm on their website right now. And they have a whole section, again, type in accessibility, and you can go, there's a phone number that you can call, there's an email, you can also visit guest relations. We have not used theirs in a few years because we don't have SeaWorld passes right now. It used to be a couple years ago, they give you a piece of paper, and then when the person that wants to go say ride Mako, they take the paper to the person tells them what the return time is, write it, and then you bring the paper back later. But I am not sure what it currently is right now. But also, you can't just take 15 or 20 people with you. I think SeaWorld's limit was about 8. So again, if you're going with a youth group or you're going with a family reunion, you've got to make sure that there are only a certain amount of people on the
There's only a
pass.
few people that can go along with it. But one of the things, as part of their autism certification, every ride that you go to at SeaWorld or every attraction that you go to at SeaWorld, there's little icons at the front of their line, at the front of that entrance to it on the sign that'll tell you what senses are going to be most excited during that experience. So if it's a loud ride, you'll see a little ear. If it's a motion ride, if it's a water encounter,
That's nice.
it'll tell you what kind of what senses to expect. So if you've never been, you don't know what the ride's going to look like, and your person's like, hey, they can't do loud noises, you'll know up front, this is probably not the ride for you to kind of go through.
Right. I know that like when they talk about strobe lights, I know that can really affect people with epilepsy or even induce migraines and different things like that. Even if you don't have a disability, some of those things can come up. So you can see that as well. Also, I will say, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, every park, it could be a cast member at Disney, team members is at Universal, I think ambassadors, the people that work there, I think they're called that at SeaWorld. They're all very
Model
helpful.
Citizens at
Model Citizens,
isn't
is
that what
that
they are?
Legoland?
I think so.
I think so too. It was really cute. But they are really good about, like, there have been times where I want to sit close to the back. I'm trying, because honestly, every time we go places, we're looking for the exits, we're looking for the restrooms, we're looking for an out in case this goes poorly. Like, that's just, we're trained to do that.
Part of our PTS for being special needs parents.
So one thing you might want to do if you realize, hey, this isn't going to end well, and I don't want to do the walk of shame with a screaming kid or an adult going out of this venue, you can sit in the back and just let a cast member, team member, ambassador know, hey, my child or my husband or whoever it is has special needs. Can we sit close to an exit? And they're always great about accommodating. So again, those are just some tricks we've learned. Again, we don't want to be in this situation, and other people probably don't as well, but it's the way we've been able to make it work for our family.
And if none of this works for you at theme parks, you can go to my favorite, which is a state park or a national park. And then they can scream all they want and nobody really cares. It's just things out there.
Great. One quick thing before we end. We did go to Dollywood a couple Christmases ago. And Dollywood is also, I believe, an autism certified park. And I will tell you, Dolly does it right. I mean, that room was fantastic.
And just so you know, you're not allowed to leave your child in the room. When we go to the park, they called us out on that. And so we had to stay with him, or else he would have just spent the whole day in the room at the park, and that would have been perfectly happy for him.
Yeah, like it had a TV, it had like a rocking chair. I mean, I will tell you, Dolly's sensory room has been the best I've been to of any theme park. So, all right, we hope you guys are doing well. We hope this can help one person.